You are listening to the Spark Your Light podcast, episode number 267, Overwhelmed, My Life and Business Audit Process. This episode is for you if you're feeling a little overwhelmed with everything going on in your life. And sometimes you feel like you're moving in 27 different directions and you don't quite know if you're doing too much, if there are things that you should step back from, and if so, how do you make those decisions? Tune in. You're going to love this process. Thank you so much to SoulCycle for sponsoring today's episode. This is a process I took myself through this week, actually, and it has been so helpful for me to get my brain organized and not move in so many different directions. And so essentially what you do in this process is you start by brain dumping all of the categories in your life. Now, if you're doing this just for your personal life, you can brain dump all the personal life stuff. If you're doing this for your business, you can brain dump all the business categories. If you're doing this for both, you might want to make separate, like bigger categories, overarching categories, and then subcategories underneath. Basically, you're just going to write down all of the things you do that are kind of like a repeated task. But you don't want to write down the individual tasks. You want to write down the category. So for example, in business, one of my categories is admin. And instead of writing down every admin task, I just write the big category first. So all of the categories go down. And once you have all the categories down, then you further subdivide every task underneath. So I might write down like caring for Michael, and then I'll write down all of the tasks that I do to care for my baby. So maybe make up the bottles, wash the bottles, all of these various tasks I have to do, right? And in my business, I might be writing down, okay, answer my emails, sign and send contracts, blah, blah, blah. So brain dump all the things, get everything out of your brain. So first, you're probably going to feel a lot lighter just getting it out of your brain. Just writing down everything that's taking up your time is freeing to see it all right there and not have it all swirling in your brain. So even just when that's the only place that I had gotten to, I already felt so much better on this audit, but I continued. So the next step in the process is to then review the purpose of each category. So it's really important that everything in your life has purpose and that the purpose is something that's important to you. So go through and actually, like, next to the category, write down the purpose of the category. So for example, admin work, the purpose is to keep my business operational. That's the purpose. And it's important that I do it to keep my business operational. It is important to me to have a business that operates, period. That's important to me. And so it might not be a thing that sparks my light, but it's something that's important to me. Not everything that's important to you sparks your light. That's really interesting. Sometimes there are going to be things that are important to you, like taking the trash out is important to me. I don't want my house smelling like trash. It does not spark my light. That's okay. But it must be something that's important to you, and you must write the reason down. Now, sometimes you will write things down and realize they are not important to you. So I was just talking to a friend a couple of weeks ago, and we were kind of going through this process, not in a formal way of I told her, this is my life and business audit process, but we were just chatting about different things. And I asked her kind of these same questions of, well, with regards to each category, what is important to you? And she realized that her podcast was not important to her. And she didn't even like having a podcast. And she did it for no reason other than you're supposed to have a podcast if you have a business. And I was like, that's a terrible reason to have a podcast. So guess what? She put pause on her podcast, which is amazing. So I think it's really important to look at these different categories and make sure that you have a reason for doing it. Other than just, this is because I'm supposed to do, or someone told me I should, but the reason is something that's true for you. Now, once you have all of the reasons, then what you want to do is you want to look at each of the subtasks underneath and ask yourself, is this task necessary to get me the ultimate purpose that I'm seeking? So for example, for my admin work, is answering my emails necessary to keep my business operational? Yes. Now that could even be subdivided. Which emails? Because there's probably emails that I respond to or give the time of day that I could just delete. They're just junk and I don't even need to, right? So you could keep going and going and going with a lot of this too. But what you're going to find is sometimes there's going to be tasks that you're doing that are not getting you closer to the purpose. So you have it under that category, but then when you look at it, you're like, wait a second, I said that it's important to me to have this specific outcome, right? Maybe it's to be healthy. And you wrote down like all the things you do to be healthy. So you work out, you meal prep, this, that, the other thing. And maybe there was something on that list that's time consuming, but doesn't actually help you with improving your health. So maybe, for example, it's, I don't know, cutting strawberries. Let's just say you hate cutting strawberries. This is something that I personally do not love doing. That's where it's coming from. And maybe you're like, you know what? Is cutting strawberries helping me be healthy? Sort of, because eating strawberries is helping me be healthy, but is cutting them helping me be healthy? No. Could I buy them pre-cut? Great. For example, that might be one change you make in your life to save you time and energy because you're already feeling overwhelmed. So to remove something, so you want to really look at the task and ask yourself, like, is this exact task getting me the result? And if there's a stepping stone, like, yes, that task is necessary. Another question is, can someone else do this for me? Can this be outsourced? And you might think, oh, well, I don't have a business. I can't outsource anything. No, you can actually outsource things to people in your life. So you can ask your husband to wash the bottles, or you can ask your son to, depending on the age of your son, I can't ask my son yet, but to put the laundry away or whatever it is, right? Can you ask someone to do it for you? Can you pay for it to be done for you? Like, for example, I might have one of my categories in my personal life is definitely like keeping my house clean. And then what's the purpose? Because I feel good in a clean space. And then I might write down all of the tasks. So one of my tasks might be cleaning the grout on my tile kitchen floors. That's one of the tasks. And is cleaning the grout on my tile kitchen floors, is that necessary for giving me a clean space that I feel good in? For me, it is. I hate looking down and seeing dirty tile. It's very bothersome. But is me cleaning the grout necessary? No. Could I hire someone to do it? Yes. Now, of course, this brings in the question of finances and can you afford to hire someone to do it and all of these things. So for me, I haven't hired someone to do the tile yet. It's something I want to do in the future, but right now I still do it myself. And that's okay. It might be a future goal, right? And so you have to really figure out what's best for you. But the point here is to get clear on everything you're doing in your life. And one, does it actually align with a higher purpose? If it doesn't, just delete the whole category. And if it does align with a higher purpose, do each of the tasks underneath still align with that purpose? And can they be made easier? Can they be simplified? Can they be outsourced? Can they be shortened? Is it necessary to do it the way you're doing it now, or is there a better way? So, for example, when I first started pumping and I was in the hospital, I washed the pump parts every single time I used them, which was extremely time consuming. When we came home, I started putting them in the fridge, and then the milk stays cold in the fridge. So then I just wash them once a day, which has saved me immense amounts of time. So that's an example of something that, okay, it was in alignment with one of my goals. And it was something that I wanted to keep doing and that needed to be done, but there was a better way. And so just really slowing down to look at all this is extremely helpful. And I can tell you from experience that when I do this process, I usually delete a good handful of tasks where I'm like, why was I doing that? Why did I think that was necessary? Why did I think that was important? Why was I spending time on that? I usually outsource or plan to outsource in the future. Maybe make a plan for, okay, what would our finances have to look like for me to be able to hire someone to do X or Y, whether it's in my business or my personal life. That's something that I'll think about. I usually ask for help. So, hey, Richie, I was looking at my schedule and I realized that I really want to do all these things for my book, but I don't have a lot of time to work on it. because I'm spending an hour every night washing the bottles, washing the pump, making the bottles for the next day. Do you think you could help me with some of those things? Great. I asked for help. So those are all things that you're going to have more awareness of when you do the audit. And I like to actually take the audit after it's pared down, condensed, ask for help, all those things, and then try to like put it back into your life and see, is it overflowing still? Because that's what we don't want. We don't want more tasks than can actually fit, because we'll never feel good. We'll never be able to accomplish them all. We'll always feel like we're in a race against our to-do list. So instead, can you pare it down enough to the fact that the most important things are being done? There might always be other things, right? So on my house list, I would like to scrub the baseboards at some point. I haven't done it. I probably won't do it until there's a random day where Michael's nap goes extra long and all of the laundry's folded and everything else, the kitchen's clean and the floors are clean, and I have 30 minutes that I've dedicated to, let's say, housework. And so I'm like, you know what? Let me scrub the baseboards in the kitchen. Great. I'll probably do it at some point, but it's not a priority, so it's not going to be on my list. So it's also a way to learn how to prioritize, and more specifically, what are your current priorities, and really looking at them can be super helpful. So take some time for yourself, make this fun. Maybe get a seltzer. I love having like a spindrift at night. That's been my thing, especially breastfeeding. I really don't drink at all. So I have a lot of seltzer and sometimes tea. And so just kind of making it fun. So that's what I would do. But make it fun however you want to make it fun. Whatever your version of fun looks like. For me, it would be probably a spindrift in my bed at 8 p.m. I love to get in bed early and journal and just kind of map things out and write things down. It's just like so relaxing to get everything out of your brain and to know that you're making things simpler and more efficient. It's just such a good feeling. So that's what I would do. But you have to look at what you want to do and what sparks you. But my request for you is just make it fun. Make it something that feels fun, that doesn't feel so heavy. And do an audit. Really look at everything that you're focusing your time on and what's causing you overwhelm and how you can start to pare it down, whether it's because things aren't as important as you thought they were or because you can get some help on them. So I hope this episode has been a helpful tool for you to start to reduce that overwhelm and really do an honest audit of your life and or your business if you have one. And I'm looking forward to hearing about how you have released some of these overwhelming tasks from your schedule and you're going to be able to focus more on the things that are most important for you, which is what this is all about. So thank you so much for taking the time to tune into today's episode. I am super grateful to have you as a listener, and I will catch you in the next episode.